Good morning and welcome to today's episode of the Live Shit Get Banged podcast. It might not be morning right now where you're listening. Happy afternoon, good evening, good day, whatever time zone you are listening to this on. And I want to start by giving you guys an update as usual because I've been swanning off as usual for the last 3 weeks. I've just come back from my annual leave. I spent a lovely 6 days in Croatia at Outlook Festival, which was so good. Outlook Festival, the music is dub, jungle, drum and bass, dubstep, and the vibes are immaculate. The whole festival is set on the beach in Tisno, and I had a gorgeous time dancing away with my friends and recharging my soul. For those of you that know me, you will know that music is such a huge part of my life and always has been, always will. And there's something so special about connecting with other people, connecting with your friends through music. I think music is almost like a hidden language. It doesn't matter where you're from. It doesn't matter who you are, what age you are, your background, your past, your job. When you're in a crowd full of other people that are connecting through the same sound, it's magical. It's truly magical. And being able to have that element of escapism and just connecting with how it makes your goddamn soul feel. There's something so beautiful. And if I can imagine like a euphoric state, it's me with my eyes closed, bopping around to some tunes, listening to my favorite songs in a crowd. And it honestly truly recharged my soul. And then straight after that, I went to Dordogne in the southwest of France to spend some time with my partner and his family. And honestly, it was unreal. The views were insane. The setting that we had was a gorgeous gîte in the middle of nowhere. So it took a good hour and a half to drive to the nearest station or any big towns. And we spent the entire week just eating cheese, drinking wine, chilling by the pool. We did some freshwater swimming. We did bridge jumping one day, which was terrifying but really fun. I swear to God, I had the biggest wedgie after the first jump. That was my only concern. I was like, oh my God, my swimming costume has gone so far up my butthole. So much fun. And I feel very rested. And coming back, I had some amazing calls with all of my clients. So my clients have been cracking on amazingly in the time that I've been away. My only mission that I gave them was to do me proud. And on the first day back, I got on calls with a large group of them and we were talking about wins, struggles, and I had a really interesting conversation with one of my clients, let's call her Elle, who has been going through a really tough time recently. She has had lots of family stuff going on. She has unfortunately found out that one of her family members has had to go into palliative care. Is it palliative? Palliative? But unfortunately, her whole life across the last 9 months has drastically changed and she has all of a sudden become a carer. Her priorities have been put second. She has really struggled to find the spark in her own life and her fitness and her motivation. And we spoke lots about how that has affected her. And something that was so interesting was I could really sense a shift in the way that she was approaching her health. The shift went from feeling like she needed everything to be perfect. Elle was always the biggest perfectionist. That was often one of the struggles that we spoke about in her coaching. And her mindset coming into this call was very different. She was very calm. She was very accepting that in her life, there were lots of things that were not within her control at the moment. Elements of her fitness journey that previously she was getting caught up on, she wasn't concerned about anymore. And she said that it's really helped her streamline and work out what is important, what isn't important, and using her fitness to really make her happy and focus on how she feels so that she can show up as a better person for herself, but also her family members and her loved ones, and carving out that time for herself. And we spoke about some ways that we could incorporate more fun into her fitness. We came away from the more serious goals of hitting PBs, focusing on fat loss, looking at arbitrary numbers essentially and looking at how we can carve out more fun and excitement and whimsiness into her routine. And equally, when I came back from France, I felt almost like I had lost a bit of a spark for my fitness. And you might be thinking, but Sophia, you're a coach. You should always be motivated. You should always feel like you love fitness. You have a passion for fitness. And yes, of course, I do. But it doesn't mean that sometimes going to the gym doesn't feel like a slog. And throughout my life, there have been lots of things that have changed. I've worn different hats, lived in different places, had different friends, had different relationships, different jobs. But something that has remained stable in my life over the years has been exercise. And sometimes getting back to routine comes from an element of discipline. It comes from an element of taking imperfect action, which Coach Ben and I actually did a live call episode about last Monday for any of our Blitz or Bits or one-to-one coaching members who would like to check that out. But I think actually sometimes it comes from needing to take the pressure off and asking yourself, when did everything have to become so fucking serious? Fitness can very slowly turn into, I have to hit my steps, I have to train, I have to progress, I have to eat enough protein, I have to follow my program, I have to be productive. But within that, something that was supposed to make your life become better becomes a fucking performance review. And we're constantly trying to hit these arbitrary targets and we're missing the enjoyment. If I think back to the number one reason that I started to exercise, it was to support my mood, my mental health, and my happiness. And it is exactly the same for my client Elle at the moment, who is experiencing lots of change and disruption in her life. Constantly forcing yourself through something that you stopped enjoying isn't necessarily the answer. I want you to ask yourself the question, when was the last time you did something active purely because it sounded fun? Not because it burnt calories, not because it was in your program, not so that you could hit a tick box on your Strava, not because it was optimal, but because it made you feel good. Now, Elle and I spoke about some fun things like getting a new gym outfit. And she said, I've been wearing the same outfit now for the last few years and I feel like a potato in it. So we said, okay, let's get you a fun new training outfit so you can feel fabulous in her lifts. It might be something as novel, and I don't care how vain this is. It could be something as novel as getting a nice new water bottle so you can sip on your Girly Pops water throughout the day and when you're training. It could be doing a new gym playlist. Elle and I shared some fun ideas for training playlists. I'm into, like I said at the start of the podcast, a lot of electronic music, a lot of bass music. And she said that she's really into like noughties and 90s R&B. So I shared her some of my bad bitch playlists from Spotify, which I often use to fire up myself when I feel like being a bad bitch. Lots of Beyonce, lots of Rihanna on there. Just FYI. And music, interestingly, there was a new study about this that the fabulous Jeff Nippard posted on his Instagram the other day. We love Jeff, go and check him out. He posted a study that was done showing that listening to music that you enjoy can help you to actually increase the reps that you complete in your training sessions. And I think exercise and movement, when paired with music, create such a beautiful environment to get your endorphins flowing and to feel good and leave your session on a high. You might want to try a different gym. You might want to switch up your environment and get to a class. Try out some new machines, have a little bit of a fun session, train with a friend. Or it might even be tapping into movement that you haven't done in a while that you really enjoy, like climbing or swimming or dancing. Now, is buying yourself a cute water bottle evidence-based periodization? No, but I don't give a shit if it gets you going to the gym again. And this brings me nicely to point number 2, is that novelty can be incredibly useful. Novel experiences can massively engage dopamine systems involved in motivation, learning, and reward. And you don't necessarily need to change your program every single week. In fact, I would obviously highlight that that would undermine your progression. But you can certainly introduce some novelty around the habit itself. So, as we just mentioned, new playlist, new environment, new clothes, new training partner, changing out the activity that you are doing itself. Now, point number 3, I mean, I guess that was kind of all under one point. Let's call this point number 2, is switching that headspace from I have to do this to I get to do this. I'm often reminded when I think about how much movement supports me. I often think about what I would do if I couldn't move. And it makes me scared. It makes me feel scared, but it also makes me feel grateful for the opportunity that I have now to move my body. And intercepting that internal monologue of, I have to do this, I need to do this. I'm choosing to train today because I feel better after doing so, because I want to be strong, because I want my body to work well when I'm 70, because I've been sitting at my laptop all day, and because I know that this is going to make me feel good. I think most importantly, sometimes you can also choose not to. I think that almost reminds us that we have a choice. We have a choice to be doing this. Nobody's forcing you to do it. And it creates a little bit of autonomy and that intrinsic motivation that comes from within. Now, interestingly, on Friday night, I was in a little bit of that headspace. My narrative was, I should be doing this, I should be doing that. Now, I had already actually gone to the gym at this point, but this was more related to work things that I needed to do. I have a big to-do list of admin after being away for 3 weeks, boring life stuff, from moving house, setting up bills, financial stuff, all the boring shit that I just didn't want to do. So on Friday night, I had this big kind of list. I was like, I need to do this, I need to do that. I need to optimize my time. But then I took a moment and thought, who the fuck has decided that I need to do all of this right now? I'm allowed to have fun right now. I'm allowed to be a bit whimsy. Where's all of this pressure come from? And I basically threw my to-do list in the bin and I said, right, I need to recharge the batteries first. I need to create some order in my life before I can then create more output and do all of this stuff. So what I did is I put a little pin in the to-do list and I put on a gorgeous film. I set up the projector in my lovely flat. I watched a film called Je m'appelle Agneta, by the way, which is an amazing film. I need to do a whole post about this because the film is all about a woman who, I won't give you too much detail because I don't want to spoil it for you. I recommend anyone that loves this podcast watch this film because it is incredible. I didn't think it would be. I kind of put it on a bit of a whim. And I was like, the universe has led me here right now to watch this film. Because it's about a woman who is in an unhappy marriage. She has no purpose in her life. She's feeling great. She feels like she's under a shell. She's hiding herself, her true self. She doesn't know her true self. And it's really reminded me of places that I've been in the past. And something that I said to my therapist a few years ago, I said, I don't even know who I am anymore. I don't know what I like. I don't know what I dislike. I don't know what I agree with, what I disagree with. I don't know what my hobbies are. I don't know what my passions are. And this woman went through the same experience and she saw a job advertisement to go and live in the south of France. She had this pull to go there, which is actually exactly what happened to me. She went to the south of France and I won't tell you everything that happened, but let's just say she goes through an amazing awakening. And I was like, holy shit, has this film been made about me? But just using a slightly older woman. Anyway, basically what I did on Friday is I watched this film. Now, I took so much from this film that after watching it, I felt so recharged. I felt inspired. I was like, I need to write about this. And that decision of actually taking a bit of time out and just doing something that made me feel good and allowing myself to rest meant that the following day I could crack on with my to-do list and I was motivated and I was like, oh my God, I feel really inspired to do all of these things and create content and go to the gym because I'd gone through that experience of realizing what was important to me and what I wanted to talk about and what I needed to share. And the point here isn't, fuck your responsibilities, because obviously sometimes we have to just crack on and put our big girl pants on and do our to-do list. But not every hour of your life needs to be optimized. And fitness can really fall into the same trap. Sometimes you just need a session where you're not chasing PBs, steps, or progression. And sometimes you just need to take a fucking day off. Just take a day off. Chill, sleep, nap, watch a film, do some crochet, play with some Lego, whatever the fuck you do in your spare time. Do something that recharges you. Now, point number 5, something I hear a lot, is I don't have the energy to train right now. And here is your reminder that if you don't have the energy to train, part of that could be because you have stopped moving. This doesn't come under the bracket of genuine fatigue from illness, sleep deprivation, underfueling, or stress. That is important that we listen to our bodies in that sense. But if you are ticking the boxes of health is in a good place, sleep is in a good place, stress is okay, doesn't need to be perfect, but you're feeling like you don't have the energy to exercise, exercising is one of those things that will give us energy. And what I would recommend is don't commit to the workout and doing the full session and pushing yourself. Just tell yourself you're going to go in for 10 minutes. Just tell yourself you're going to walk for 10 minutes. And then after 10 minutes, if you're still feeling better, carry on. And if you're feeling absolutely cooked and you're like, fuck me, I'm knackered, I am actually ill, I'm tired, I need to sleep, then go home. But just commit to 10 minutes of movement as opposed to, I need to drag myself through an entire session. And once you get moving 90% of the time, your endorphins start flowing. We get that element of energy. We're firing ourselves up and we're feeling good. Now, point number 6, and we talk about this quite a lot in the lives, in the podcast, is that we often think that being motivated or feeling that spark should come from, I feel motivated, so then I take action. But behavior works the other way around. The idea is that you take a small action, you get some momentum and reward from doing it, and then continuing it becomes easier. And without getting too sciencey, there is a lot of neuroscience and studies that back this up. We have really exciting hormones, your dopamine, your epinephrine, I can never pronounce that right, epinephrine, your serotonin. These are all hormones that are created through movement, through doing the hard thing. And those hormones then help us to feel more motivated. But we have to do the thing first in order for those hormones to support us. And let me tell you that first workout back that I did felt fucking clunky. It felt rough. I got there and I was like, CBA for this. And sometimes it might feel like the weights feel heavier than usual. Why do I feel like I haven't squatted in 2,000 years? Why am I not enjoying this yet? But then you keep going. You keep going, and then the second workout feels a little bit more normal, and then another. And I promise you that by the end of my training week this week, I felt great. I was like, holy shit, I've got my spark back. There she is, baby. I'm feeling good again. But I wouldn't have been able to do that if I didn't go through with that very first training session that, let's face it, felt like a sack of shit. Now, I want the underlying message of today's episode to be to have more fun and stop putting so much pressure on yourself. If you've fallen out of love with fitness, if you feel like your spark is missing, you don't need to wait until you've fallen back in love with it to start again. Make it smaller, make it less serious, make it more fun. And start clunky. Give yourself the opportunity to create that spark and tap back into things you enjoy. What makes you happy? What makes you feel rejuvenated? Why did everything suddenly have to be so fucking serious? When was the last time that you did something for fun? And I hope that from today, just choose something, whether that is you need to take a little bit of a rest and put your fucking to-do list down and clear your head. Whether that is, I'm going to go off program today and I'm going to go and do a yoga class because I haven't done yoga in a while and I really enjoy it. It could be, I've been eating the same recipes for a while. I'm going to switch it up and do something a little bit off the books today, even if it doesn't quite hit my macros. Give yourself the opportunity to do things that you enjoy and tap back into the elements that make you feel happy, that make you feel driven, that make you feel motivated. And find that spark again. For anyone that wants to listen a little bit more about this, it listened actually after my lovely call with Elle. I listened to this, I think, on Sunday, so yesterday. A podcast from the lovely Florence Given, who talks about just general spark in her day-to-day life. It was a really good episode. Some of the start of it I didn't quite relate to, but the end of it I really did. And she speaks about applying this in your day-to-day life as well. It's a great episode. Go and give it a listen. I hope to see you all on the next episode of the Live Shit, Get Banged podcast. Let's have an amazing week ahead. Ciao.